Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to COMM882 Seminar 2. I am Dr. Wada, and today we move to Module 2, the Literature Review. Having established in our previous class the foundation of research in Module 1, we now turn to one of the most critical components of any research project, that is the literature review. And this module will equip you with the skills to systematically search, evaluate, and synthesize existing research so as to build a strong theoretical foundation for your own study. So let's look at some of the learning objectives from this module. By the end of this module, you will achieve 5 key learning objectives. First, you will learn to identify and locate credible sources that are relevant to your research topic. Second, you will develop skills in critically evaluating the quality and relevance of research studies. Third, you will understand how to organize literature thematically, chronologically, or methodologically. Fourth, you will master the art of synthesizing findings from multiple sources to identify patterns, gaps, and contradictions. And finally, you will learn to write or structure a comprehensive literature review that establishes the theoretical foundation for your research. These skills are essential for conducting a thorough and impactful research. So, let's understand what a literature review is. So, by definition, a literature review is a comprehensive survey or analysis and synthesis of existing research on a specific topic or research question. And this is to say that a literature review goes beyond summarizing individual sources. It provides an overview of current knowledge, and this allows you to identify relevant theories, methods, patterns, gap in knowledge, and contradictions in existing research. And this will assist you to develop a new framework or perspective towards your research. The literature review serve several critical purposes. And one of such is that it establishes the theoretical foundation for your study, demonstrate your knowledge of the field, and identifies a gap that your research will address. Also, the literature review justify your research question and methodology, and also provide the context for interpreting your findings, which serve as uh, to position your work within the broader academic conversation. Remember, the literature review is not simply a summary of sources, but rather is a critical analysis that synthesizes information and to tell a coherent story about what is already known and what remains unknown or to be discovered. So, in summary, the literature review process begin with the process of one, you select the topic,
Then two, you search and choose the relevant literature within that field of interest. Then you analyze and interpret the literature. And finally, you begin the writing the review proper.
So let's look at some types of literature reviews. Uh, there are several types of literature reviews, each serving different purposes. The choice of depends on your research question, available time, and the methodological approach. First, we have the narrative review. The narrative review provides a broad overview of a topic, often used to introduce readers to a field or to synthesize diverse perspectives without systematic search or methodology. And it is the most common type of review in academic papers or academic writing. Second, we have the systematic review, which follows a rigorous, predefined methodology to identify, select, and critically appraise relevant research on a specific question. Usually, the systematic review aims to minimize bias and provide reliable findings. Third, we have the scoping review. The scoping review usually maps the existing literature in a field used to identify key concepts, theories, and research gaps. It is particularly useful for emerging topics, that is often used to identify gaps and opportunities for future research. Then finally, we have the meta-analysis. The meta-analysis is a statistical technique that combines results from multiple studies, usually to identify overall patterns and effects. Each type has its place in research, and the choice depends on your research question and objective. Also, I will refer you to some of the lecture resource that I posted on the WhatsApp group earlier, so as you can go through them to have an in-depth understanding of these various type of literature review. Because, for instance, the systematic review and meta-analysis will be very useful in your seminar assignments. So please, I urge you to refer to those texts to actually have a broader understanding of these various types of review.
So now let's look at some of the search strategies and source selection for your literature review. For an effective literature searching, it requires strategic planning, and this involves developing a kind of systematic approach to finding relevant literature for comprehensive review. First, you start by identifying key terms and concepts that are related to your topic. For instance, uh, we may use the Boolean operators, that is, the use of and to narrow your result, or and not. And here you use it to narrow your result, or you use it to broaden the result, and not to exclude terms that are not relevant to your topic. For example, you can use a keyword like public health and vaccination or immunization, not children. This searching strategy will find sources containing all the three key terms within the field of your research. Also, it is very important to check appropriate databases for your field. For instance, you could explore PubMed or Medline for medical and health related sciences. You could also explore databases like the PsycInfo for psychology related field, or if you want to explore a multidisciplinary topic, you could explore databases like Google Scholar, JASTOR for multidisciplinary field. You can also explore databases like the CINHAL, that's for nursing and allied health sciences. So it's also important to prioritize your sources as primary, secondary, and tertiary sources using hierarchy of evidence. For instance, as source of your primary data, you could explore systematic reviews and randomized control trials as your primary source. That should be at the top. Then followed by maybe cohort studies, case control studies as your secondary sources. And maybe based on expert opinion, those ones can be your tertiary source of information. It's important to remember that the quality of your literature review depends on the quality of your sources in terms of relevance, credibility, currency, and the methodological approach. It's very, very important. So, so after selection of your sources, there is need to critically evaluate your sources, because not all sources are created equal. Critical evaluation helps you determine which sources provide the most reliable and valuable evidence for your literature review. Uh, Usually, the CRAP test framework provide a useful framework in terms of currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Currency, that is, when was the information published? Is it up to date for your topic? These are some of the questions you need to ask in order to evaluate your sources. Then, secondly, in terms of relevance, how well does the source relate to your research question? In terms of authority, who are the authors? What are their intent, credentials, and affiliations? And in terms of accuracy, you need to look at if the information is supported by evidence. Has it been peer reviewed? Then, in terms of purpose, why was the source created? Is there a bias or conflict of interest? So, additionally, for research studies, you need to also consider the methodological rigor, sample size, statistic, and the theoretical framework, potential biases, and whether the conclusions are supported by the data. So this critical evaluation ensures that your literature review is built on a solid foundation from credible evidence. Next is organizing your literature. Once you have gathered your sources, organization is key. There are three main approaches to organizing your literature. We have the thematic organization, we have the chronological organization, and we have the methodological organization. For the thematic organization, usually it organizes literature around key themes, concepts, or variables that emerge from your reading, regardless of the publication date or methodology. Example is, for instance, grouping studies on maternal health by themes like access to care, cultural factors, and economic barriers. For the chronological organization, this arranges your literature based on publication date to show how understanding of the topic has evolved over time, or to highlight historical development. Example is tracing the evolution of diabetes treatment approaches from the 1950s to present day. So third, we have the methodological organization. And usually this group literature according to the research method used, comparing findings from different methodological approaches. Uh, the methodological organization also can highlight methodological strengths and limitations in the field. Example is comparing qualitative interview studies versus quantitative survey on patient satisfaction. Some of the simple tips to organize your literature is one, you create a matrix or a table to track key information from each source. Then you could use reference management softwares like Zotero, Mendeley to organize your sources. Then you may also consider combining approaches for complex topics, e.g., chronological within teams. And finally, you can create visual maps to identify connections between sources and concepts. So after organizing your literature, uh, now is the time to uh, synthesize, to bring to transform the collection of sources into a meaningful literature review. And here, synthesis is just the process of combining, comparing, and connecting ideas from multiple sources to create new insights and to also identify patterns, gaps, or contradictions in the literature. Like unlike summarizing, we simply report what each source says. Synthesis involves combining ideas from multiple sources to create a new understanding. Here, you look for pattern across studies. That is, do multiple sources support the same conclusion? You identify contradictions. Where do these sources disagree, and what might this be? You also note gaps. What questions remain unanswered? You're required to use concept techniques like conceptual mapping, comparison matrix, and argument mapping. For instance, you could use a technique like concept mapping to actually visualize representations of interrelationship between ideas. Then you could use the comparison matrix to organize studies in a table format in order to compare methodologies, findings, their strength, and their limitations across multiple studies. Then for the argument mapping, you can use that to identify key arguments in the literature and map how they support or contradict. or build upon each other. Uh, Remember, synthesis require critical thinking and analysis, not just description. Your goal is to actually weave together different perspectives to create a comprehensive understanding of your topic. The radar chart here is just to distinguish between what a synthesis mean when you compare it with summary. When you look at the broader perspective in terms of the identifying pattern, to compare the methods, the connect theories, to evaluate evidence, to identify gaps, to develop framework, the synthesis is on a larger, broader scope when you compare it to the summary. So some of the interesting synthesis tips to ensure you have a comprehensive review is: one, you should focus on relationship between sources, not just summaries, and try to identify the patterns, the trend, and contradiction across studies. Then you should also develop a new framework or perspective based on your analysis, and the use of critical thinking to actually evaluate the collective evidence. Remember, your goal here, as I said earlier, is to weave together, put together different perspectives in order to create a comprehensive understanding of your topic. So let's examine how some of these principles that we learned in Module 2, how we can apply them in practice through a case study of telemedicine in rural healthcare. This case study demonstrates how Module 2 concepts applied in real literature review, examine the effectiveness of telemedicine interventions in rural healthcare settings. So imagine conducting a literature review on this topic. First, you will start by searching databases using terms like telemedicine, uh, telehealth, rural or remote settings, healthcare outcomes in databases like PubMed, Sinhall, Google Scholar, and African Journal Online, Justo, etc., etc. So your initial search might yield hundreds of results. However, through systematic screening, you will narrow this down to the most relevant and high quality studies. And one of such way to go about that is the use of critical evaluation. You apply the CRAP test in terms of the currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose of the sources. And this will result in bringing down the number into high quality studies that meet the inclusion criteria for peer review status, methodological rigor, and relevance. Furthermore, your you need to also organize the literature thematically, covering topics like patient access barriers, technology adoption, and clinical outcome improvements. Then, through your synthesis finding, you will identify consistent findings such as improve access to care, while also noting gaps in terms of limited long-term outcome studies, pattern in terms of higher satisfaction in chronic disease management, contradiction noted, and some of the framework developed. Then this process is actually demonstrate how well conducted literature review provides the foundation for a meaningful research, especially in public health. So, in summary, to summarize Module 2, we have successfully covered the essential component of conducting a literature review. from understanding its purpose and types to developing effective search strategies and critical evaluation skills. We have also explored how to organize literature and, most importantly, how to synthesize findings to create a new understanding. Uh, for your maybe self-assessment, I will urge you to uh, conduct a preliminary literature search on your chosen research topic in the field of public health. Try to identify at least 15 relevant sources and organize them thematically. And this will prepare you for Module 3, which comes up any within next week, where we will explore research methods, learning how to design studies and build upon the foundation established through your literature review. And remember, a strong literature review is not just a requirement, it is the foundation upon which all good research is built. So I will urge you to revisit what we did in Module 1 and so as to follow up the sequence. Hopefully, by the time we round up Module 5, everybody will be equipped with the basics and requirement to actually conduct a research uh, studies. Then meanwhile, I will post the seminar 2 group assignment on the LMS later today. And like I said earlier, I will try to open the WhatsApp group after the class to enable the leaders to post the link for their other members, so as to enable you start your manuscript writing for the seminar 2 on time, and that will enable me to be able to give feedback before your final seminar defense. So at this point, I think we have come to the end of the class for today, and hopefully Monday or Tuesday we might have to look at module 2, and hopefully by weekend we look at module 4 and 5, so as to actually prepare you better with your topic of interest as you prepare for your seminar 2. So at this point, I will stop the class, and I wish you the very best and have a good weekend ahead. Thank you.